We're now going to use the distributive property on these next problems here. So we have a minus sign and we have plus signs inside. So whenever you see that, it's going to be different than just straight multiplication. We're going to use the distributive property, which means that we're going to multiply the first thing times 7x cubed, and we're going to multiply the first thing times the second term that we have here. So we're using, again, the distributive property. Now I'm going to put everything all together and I'll rearrange things and multiply a little bit later. I'm going to put 4xy, we're multiplying this by 7x cubed. There's a minus that's here. So I have 4xy, and I'm multiplying that by x, y to the fifth. So I'm just putting that next to each one. So that's the setup. That's what we're doing. 4xy times the 7x cubed, and then 4xy times the negative xy to the fifth. Now, to finish this, we're just going to rearrange the order that we have. So I'm going to do 4 times 7 times x cubed times y. So I'm just putting them like things together. So I have the numbers, I have the x's, then I have the 1y. I'll do the rearranging for this over here as well. So I have a minus 4, there's nothing else with that. I have 2 x's there, and then I have a y to the first power. So y to the first power, and then I have a y to the fifth power. So again, just rearranging the order on these and putting all the like things together. 4 times 7, 28. Now for these, I'm going to add the exponents together. So I have x, and I have 1 plus 3 is 4. That's y to the first power. Next, I have a minus 4, and I have x squared. Again, you're adding when you multiply two things with the same base, you're adding the exponents. That's what we're doing here. So as a 1 and a 1 will give you x squared. Now there's a 1 here as well. When you add the exponents together there, you're going to get y to the sixth power, and that would be your answer. These two are not like terms, so we can't combine these any further. All right, next one. We have another one that requires the distributive property. 11x times all this. So we're going to do 11x times x squared, 11x times 3x, 11x times 7. You're just putting 11x next to each of those. Now we're going to multiply these together. So that's 11, x to the first power, and a 2, that would be x to the third. These two, you can multiply the numbers first and then do the x's. 11 times 3 is 33. I have x to the first power, x to the first power here. That's going to be x squared. On the end, multiply 7 and 11. It's plus 77. And then just put the x there, and then that would be it. Okay, so that's your answer. Now notice that these problems we just did are different than one like this. If I look at this problem down below, there's a minus sign there, and there's no minus sign here. So that's the difference. This one here, we're not going to use the distributive property, but we are going to use distributive property on this one down below. This one, we're just going to rearrange the things we're multiplying together. Again, this is like 6 things you're multiplying together. So we're going to do negative 5 times 6. And then I have the x's. I have an x to the first power and x squared here. So we'll do that next. And then I have y to the fifth, and then times y to the ninth, like that. So we're just putting things in different things all together that we're multiplying, like things that we're going to multiply together there. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30. You're going to add the exponents here. 1 plus 2 is 3. Add the exponents here. Y to the 14th power. And that's it. So no distributing on this one. That's the difference between these two. So you got to make sure you keep those straight. Now this one down below, definitely we're going to use distributive property on that one. Okay, so 9xy times 7x to the fourth. So we're just going to do 9xy times 7x to the fourth minus 9xy. There's a minus here. That's why there's a minus out front. 9xy And then we have times x to the 7th y. We're going to rearrange the order. 9 times 7 times x to the 1st times x to the 4th times the y. This one I'm going to rearrange things as well. I have 9, and then I have x to the 1st power times x to the 7th power times y to the 1st power times y to the 1st power we have for that one there. 9 times 7, 63. Add the x's. That's going to be x to the 5th power and a y. We have minus 9. Add these powers. 1 plus 7 is x to the 8th. And we have y squared from that one. Okay, so that would be your answer on that. Let's do one more. Multiply 8x. This is going to be a distributive property. We're going back to that again here because you've got pluses in between. So you're taking 8x times all those. So we're going to do 8x times x squared plus 8x times 2x plus 8x times 9. Now we're going to add this together. 1 and 2 gives you x to the 3rd. 8 and 2 is 16. So we have 16x squared because you got the 2x's there. On the end, you have an 8 times 9, which is 72. So that would be a 72x that you have for that one. So again, for all these, for this kind of problem here, you're usually writing it in order from highest to lowest power, which it naturally is anyway, because of the way the problem was written.